Well, hello everyone, this is Emrys from cruisehive.com. Let's get caught up on all the latest updates in the cruise industry and some breaking cruise news with the first cruise ship finally restarting operations from California and important updates just in from the CDC. Alright then everyone, welcome, and here we go with all the major updates from the week. And we've got some breaking cruise news for you with an important update from the CDC, changes in the Bahamas for cruise passengers, the 5th Oasis-class cruise ship heading out on sea trials, the first Royal Caribbean cruise ship resumes from Galveston, Norwegian Cruise Line restarts from Miami, and oh yes, Carnival Cruise Line becomes the first cruise line to resume operations out of California. Oh, so much going on, a lot. And yeah, just before we do get started, don't forget to leave us a comment below to share your views on any of the cruise news, and give us a like and subscribe so we can keep improving and keep you all updated. Alright then, lots of news to get through. Let's get started. Norwegian Cruise Line has officially restarted operations out of the cruise capital of the world. Yes, we all know where that is. That is Miami in Florida. Norwegian Gem begins the long-awaited cruises to the Caribbean out of Port Miami and became the third cruise ship in the fleet to resume sailings. The vessel departed on August 15th with guests on board on a 7-night Caribbean cruise, which includes calls at Roatan in Honduras, the cruise line's private island of Harvest Caye in Belize, and a call in Costa Maya and in Cozumel, both in Mexico. Norwegian Gem will be arriving back home in Miami on Sunday, August 22nd. And it does depend when you're watching this video, but that is tomorrow. The day was even more special as the Norwegian cruise ship was the first in the fleet to begin passenger operations from the cruise line's new Port Miami terminal. The new facility caters for vessels that can carry up to 5,000 guests. Not many of them, and the facility that's brought a new modern look to the port is 188,000 square feet. Norwegian Gem will be offering a series of week-long cruises to the Caribbean and 4-day cruises to the Bahamas through October 17th, 2021. The ship will then reposition to New York to sail 11-night cruises to the Bahamas, Caribbean and Bermuda. So do check out cruisehive.com and take a look at the constantly updated list of which NCL ships have resumed operations so far. And some breaking cruise news for today as Carnival Panorama becomes the first cruise ship to restart operations out of California since suspension started in March 2020. She will also be the 8th ship in the fleet to resume as Carnival Cruise Line continues to move forward with its phased-in return to service. So Carnival Panorama, which is the 3rd Vista-class cruise ship, is departing today on a 7-day Mexican Riviera cruise out of Long Beach, California. There will be 3 days at sea during the voyage, along with calls at Puerto Vallarta, Mazatlan and Cabo San Lucas, which are of course all in Mexico. The cruise line recently sent out an important update for the first 2 sailings, with the order of the ports swapped around and some requirements which guests must follow when ashore, and we do have those details over on cruisehive.com. It's a big day for Carnival Cruise Line as so far ships have only resumed out of Florida and Texas. There's going to be a back to fun ribbon cutting ceremony taking place just before guests are welcomed on board by the crew of the Carnival Panorama. Very exciting for sure, and we'll keep you all updated here on Cruise Hive. On to some even more breaking news as Royal Caribbean's 5th Oasis-class cruise ship Wonder of the Seas begins sea trials as the vessel nears completion in France. The cruise ship departed the Chantiers de Atlantique shipyard in Saint-Nazaire not long before 5 p.m. on Friday, August 20th. The ship will spend 4 days at the open sea to test many technical aspects that can only be tested while at sea. Propulsion will be tested, making sure Wonder of the Seas is seaworthy before being delivered to the cruise line. Often during sea trials, work will not come to a halt on the interior spaces. Many workers are still on board working on outfitting the interior venues to ensure the ship is completed as scheduled. The majority of the main exterior has already been completed. Yes, last week Royal Caribbean provided an update on its soon-to-be new flagship. Wonder of the Seas is more than 95% complete, and at the time, the shipyard started installing the 3 water slides and of course the 10-story Ultimate Abyss slide at the aft. The cruise line also says that some of the most complex work is in the final 5% of construction. So once complete, Wonder of the Seas will overtake sister ship Symphony of the Seas as the world's largest cruise ship at over 236,000 gross tons. Actually, more towards 237,000 gross tons. Wow, absolutely wow. The 5th Oasis-class cruise ship will begin cruises in China and will become the largest cruise ship to ever sail from the country. Her maiden voyage will depart on March 26, 2022 out of Shanghai in China. The ship will begin cruises out of Hong Kong in November 2022. Just in time for her first cruise, Royal Caribbean's Independence of the Seas received her conditional sailing certificate from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, which is of course known as the CDC, last week. The cruise ship has now started cruising from her home port of Galveston, Texas. The Freedom class cruise ship is sailing on a 7-night Western Caribbean itinerary from Galveston and calling in Roatan, Costa Maya and Cozumel with a sea day at the start and the end of the cruise. Despite some worry from Hurricane Grace hitting Cozumel, the ship was still able to make its call there and is arriving back home on Sunday, August 22nd, which is tomorrow. The cruises on board Independence of the Seas departing from Galveston, Texas. Guests aged 12 and up must present proof of a COVID-19 vaccination, with the final dose administered at least 14 days before sailing. So far, 12 Royal Caribbean cruise ships have resumed operations. Harmony of the Seas was the latest when she started sailing in the Mediterranean on August 15th. So you can keep track of all the ships making a comeback over on cruisehive.com. The government of the Bahamas has issued an emergency order that impacts cruise ship passengers. The order was released on August 19th and will go into effect from September 3rd, 2021. So from that date, all guests that are 12 years and older must be fully vaccinated to be allowed to enter a port in the Bahamas, including cruise line private islands. There are also some other details, such as the ship needing to submit the manifest before arriving, but the main aspect of this is the new vaccine requirement for guests. With St. Thomas in the US Virgin Islands also implementing its own vaccine requirement, cruise lines are evaluating their own protocols to make sure cruise operations are not impacted. Following the requirements in the Bahamas and St. Thomas, Royal Caribbean has already aligned its protocols. For September, Florida departures will also be requiring guests who are 12 years old and over to be fully vaccinated, which is already in place for other departures in other states and countries for the cruise line. Everything remains very fluid indeed at the moment, and constant changes are being made to keep everyone safe. So this is very important. It's very important than ever to make sure you go through all the protocols before going on a cruise and check for any last minute updates. And while we're on the topic of keeping everyone safe, some very important breaking news just coming in from the CDC. The cruise travel notice has been updated, and the CDC now says that travelers who are more at risk of severe illness or COVID should avoid cruise ship travel. This was updated on Friday evening, August 20th, and there are details on who this impacts released by the CDC. We've got a full post on this with all the links, the important links you need to go to over on the website, which is of course cruisehive.com. So those are just some of the cruise news stories from the week. We've got even more over on cruisehive.com, including a new interactive experience revealed for Disney Wish. Norwegian Cruise Line extends its vaccine requirement. MSC Cruises updates its protocols. A further suspension in Australia for Carnival Cruise Line. Disney Cruise Line delays the restart for Disney Fantasy, and loads more news. It's just been another hectic week in the cruise industry, and I didn't even mention all the itinerary changes due to Hurricane Grace. Thankfully, that has now all passed. Thanks ever so much for taking the time to watch the video. Do leave us a comment down below to let us know what you think on any of the news stories. And don't forget to like and subscribe so we can continue to improve and make sure you're kept up to date on all things cruise. I'm Memris from cruisehive.com. Thanks again everyone, and I'll see you all soon.